What's up, positive bitches? How are we doing today? If you're hearing this episode, then you're meant to be here, so keep listening. On that Bitches Positive podcast, sometimes we will laugh, other times, baby girl, we're gonna cry, but we will always walk away feeling our most empowered, positive bitch self. That is Babe in true connection with herself. On this podcast, we unbecome who we are not, so we can fully step into exactly who we came here to be. Today, we are talking about how to become even more attractive instantly by way of our physiology, our body, adi. That's right. We're talking about nonverbal communication. 55% of communication is nonverbal. 55% of communication is nonverbal. That means that more than half of what we're communicating about ourselves is not through our words, but through our body, our movements, the head tilt, the way our hips are shifted, our eyes, how much we're blinking, where our hands are. Are we talking with them? Are they on our hips? If our shoulders are back and our heart center is open, or are we completely constricted? Are we leaning forward? Are we leaning backwards? So much of how we're communicating with other people is through our physiology. It's through our movement. If we're not using this consciously, and we are just out there looking all types of insecure, well, that's not going to help us get the results that we desire. Did you know? In the first 2 to 7 seconds, we already start making assumptions, conclusions, decisions about the person that's in front of us. In the first 2 to 7 seconds. Yeah. Our physiology, the way we hold ourselves, our body, that communicates so much more than we realize. And today we're going to talk about the power of our presence and how to really harness power through our body without having to say literally anything. So 55% of communication is nonverbal. 38% of communication is our voice inflection. How are we using our voice? Are we up here? Are we down here? We know that how we say something changes the meaning of the word. And only 7% of face-to-face communication comes from the words that we say. Excuse me? Yeah. Only 7%. 7. So if 55% of communication is nonverbal, and all we're thinking about is what we're saying, which is only 7%, we need to really rediscover how we want to show up in this world. Before we get into how to harness a powerful presence, a couple of announcements. If you are not following me on Instagram at Vibin with Cece, be sure to follow me there for daily tips and tricks on how to step into your most magnetic timeline. If you've not gotten your copy of Show Up As Her just yet, be sure to get your copy because we reference this book literally in almost every podcast, and this is my book. I give you 10 laws of how to reclaim your power, manifest properly, consciously, and so much more. And if you've not yet streamed Pudding, my latest single, be sure to listen to that and it'll help you place yourself back on your pedestal. Oh, and I now have sessions opened for the fall. If you want one-on-one sessions with me, I'm a certified life and energy coach. You can DM me on Instagram and we can talk about how I can help you there. Now let's get into some nonverbal communication tips. Every single time you have a conversation with someone, you're actually having two separate conversations. The verbal, what you're saying, and the nonverbal, how you're presenting yourself, how you're moving your head, how you're moving your hands. The verbal part of any conversation is really about what we've learned, what we've seen from the world. It tells other people what we've studied. We can express ourselves in that way through our voice. But the nonverbal part of the conversation, how we're holding ourselves, our smile, that exudes our attitude about ourselves, about the world, our emotions, and our energy. If you don't believe me, think about it like this. You walk into a room and you see someone with their head down, their shoulders are completely leaned forward, they look like they're making themselves smaller into a ball, they have a bit of a frown on their face, you know what that person's feeling about themselves, about the world at large. You know their emotional state. You can feel their energy just by looking at them. Now think about if you walked into a room and you see a person with their shoulders back, heart center open, head up high, smiling. We know that person's current attitude. We know that person's current emotional state just by looking at them. We pick up so much information just by looking at a person. And how someone is communicating non-verbally says so much about them, and apparently way more than what their actual words are saying. We cannot talk about physiology and the power of presence without talking about my girl, Marilyn Monroe. And I'm going to illustrate how she used her vessel to really take control of how she was perceived by other people. This is your life. So you want to be the one with the pen writing how people are going to perceive you, writing how you're going to show up. And no, you cannot control everything and everyone. And yes, people have their own filters and their own wounds, and they're going to see you how they want to see you at the end of the day. But you actually do have so much more control than you think. So how can we gain control over how we're being perceived, our appearance? How can we take our pen back and reclaim our presence? I have to read you the story by a journalist about Marilyn Monroe. And it may change how you think about yourself and your vessel. I'll never forget the day Marilyn and I were walking around New York City, just having a stroll on a nice day. She loved New York because no one bothered her there like they did in Hollywood. She could put on her plain Jane clothes and no one would notice her. She loved that. So as we're walking down Broadway, she turns to me and says, "Do you want to see me become her?" I didn't know what she meant, but I just said, yes. And then I saw it. I don't know how to explain what she did because it was so very subtle, but she turned something on within herself that was almost like magic. That's energy. Hello. And suddenly cars were slowing and people were turning their heads, stopping and staring. They were recognizing that this was Marilyn Monroe as if she pulled off a mask or something, even though a second before nobody noticed her. I've never seen anything like it before. What does this show us? This shows us that when you decide to become her, you simply become her. This is why the book is called Show Up as Her. It starts with a decision about your identity. What did Marilyn Monroe turn on within herself? Her self-concept. She decided, I'm going to be this confident, magnetic woman. Now, I'm going to do it right now. I'm turning her on. This is how it begins. It starts with the decision. It's literally that easy. Perhaps the secret of all secrets is it's that easy. Marilyn's deliberate decision to change how she moved through the world wasn't about attracting attention necessarily. It was really about her reclaiming her narrative. And that's what I want for us positive bitches. She understood the power of her presence and she used it to her advantage by transforming a simple walk into a statement of confidence, allure, and control. She took something very mundane as the way she moved and turned it into a symbol of her identity, something that is uniquely hers. I want you, and this is really the first tip here, or maybe the second, because the first tip is decide who you want to be. And once you decide, it is. The second tip is I want you to think of yourself showing up in every single room that you go into as part of your brand. So I don't care if you're at the supermarket, at a party, at class. Ask yourself, is the way I'm showing up right now on brand with who I am or aspire to be? Is the way I'm holding my head, my shoulders, my body, especially when you want to make a positive impression on someone else, you have to be asking yourself, am I showing up in a way that's on brand with who I am or aspire to be? Am I in an energy that's on brand with my desired self? Am I standing in a way that's on brand with my desired self? Am I using my hands in a way that's on brand with my desired self? Am I smiling in a way that's on brand with my desired self? Because these things are communicating for you whether you're conscious of them or not. These things are communicating for you whether you like the way you're showing up or not. So the way you move, the way you stand, start creating more awareness around it. Is the way I'm standing right now on brand with my desired self, or am I slunched over and frowning? Because that's communicating for you, whether you like it or not. This concept is not limited to icons like Marilyn Monroe. It's a reminder to all of us that we have the power to shape how the world sees us. And again, we're not going to have complete control how everyone perceives us, but you can create a lot more control over your own life when you invite conscious awareness to how you're showing up. Whether it's the way we dress, speak, carry ourselves, we can take control of our image and use it as a tool for empowerment. It's not about conforming to societal expectations, but making deliberate choices that reflect who we truly are and what we want to project into this world. We want to be thinking about our presence in every detail. How are we dressing? Does it feel good to us? How are we holding our shoulders? Does it feel good to us? Where are our hands? Does it feel good to us? How are we tilting our head? Does it feel good to us? And maybe you're thinking, Cece, this sounds like so much work. Baby steps, girl. Baby steps. Maybe we just start with, how am I doing my hair today? You know, hair theory, which states that based on how you do your hair, people perceive you differently. Red nail theory, when you have red nails, it apparently affects people and they see you as someone who's more empowered. Yeah, these things are real. Marketing companies understand this. That's why stop signs are red. A stop light is red, because colors, how you're showing up, how you're holding yourself, this is all communicating something. Everything is communicating something. And you know what the funniest thing is? Words communicate the least. The irony. The irony. I was talking to my cousin last night and we were talking about dating, and she was saying, nothing matters anymore. And I said to her, that's not true for me. Everything matters to me. However, it seems things don't have the same meaning anymore. And what I mean by that is the people I date tell me they love me and I'm their wife. Every single one of them. Does it matter if they're the biggest F-boy or the biggest churchgoer? They all say the same thing to me. But you know what? It doesn't matter, because just because you say that, it literally doesn't mean anything. It doesn't. We cannot trust words, but energy and action. That's what we need to look at. Because I will tell you, there are men in my life who are like, you're my wife and I love you, and their actions did not follow suit. They would say they're going to create a date and then they didn't. So their words didn't mean anything. And then there's other men in my life who are like, I love you, I want to marry you. And they are consistent and they are persistent. But you have to understand that just words, anyone can say anything. I can say I'm Barack Obama, doesn't make it so. I can say that I'm Queen Elizabeth, doesn't make it so. Words do not matter as much as action. And how can we take action over our own appearance and presence? Through your body language, through how you're holding your shoulders, how you're smiling, how you're tilting your head. I do want to tell you though, 2 things that a guy will do through their body language, and you'll know they're into you. The number one thing is he will rearrange his socks. He will be playing with his socks, and that's how you know he's into you. Or he will squeeze his water bottle, which says, I just want to squeeze you, girl. So if they're playing with their socks or squeezing their water bottle, those are 2 nonverbal ways to tell that they're into you. But this is not about them. This is about us and how we can project a presence of power into the world. Hello. Okay. So let's understand this further. Physiology can change how you feel about yourself and how other people perceive you. Let's say you walk into a room and you start getting a bunch of negative thoughts, you're not feeling good about yourself. Just putting your hands on your hips decreases cortisol and can increase your confidence. It's called the Superwoman pose. So let's say you go out and you're starting to get in your own head. Just put your hands on your hips. It will open up your chest. Your heart center will be open. It will project a larger aura and you will literally decrease cortisol. Another thing you can do through your physiology is go to the bathroom and just shake out your body really quickly. It will release some negative energy and make some room for newer, confident energy to come into your vessel. If you've ever seen two dogs playing with one another and then they run away from one another and shake it out, dogs instinctively know to shake their bodies to release the energy from the previous encounter. We as humans have forgotten this fact. So if you walk into a place and you're feeling insecure, you go to the bathroom, you shake out your body really quickly, and then you go back into the room. Maybe if you're standing by the bar, let's say you're at a bar, you put those hands on your hips, you just open up your heart chakra a little bit and project that good energy into the room. You will feel better and people will perceive you as more powerful. Now, let's turn to page 52 in my book because we have some things we have to discuss about physiology. On page 52, it says, your thoughts are showing. Our thoughts may be held in the private space of our own minds, but they are felt in the public space of the quantum field. Dun, dun, dun. Someone does not need to be a mind reader to tell if we are feeling happy or sad. Someone can look at another and see the emotional state they're in based on body language alone. This is because our thoughts affect how we physically show up in the world. Every single thought we have creates a biochemical reaction in our body. If you've ever been nervous about an interview, an audition, or even a date, you may have noticed your palms begin to get clammy or a sudden stomach ache developed. Our thoughts are in direct communication with our body 24/7, and our thoughts are not shy about telling our body how to feel. Thinking fearful thoughts will cause our body to slip into a fearful state. This brings us to the resting bitch face phenomena. Having a smug look on your face, or RBF, is not just the way your face is constructed. If you are having negative thoughts at the bar, your body will show this. If you are thinking that you are unlovable, your friends are prettier than you, and no one will like you, this will affect how you show up. If you convince yourself that your human connections are being threatened, your body will shift from the parasympathetic nervous system, or rest and digest, into the sympathetic nervous system, or fight or flight. So when we're telling ourselves that we're not good enough, that we're not pretty enough, we slip into the sympathetic nervous system and our body literally operates differently. Our shoulders are going to slouch. We're going to look down. We're going to look nervous. We're going to look scared. We're going to have RBF, and we're going to be less approachable, and not in a good way, in a way where we are repelling people. When we shift into the sympathetic nervous system because our mind is telling us we aren't worthy of connection, our facial muscles tighten, our body language becomes closed off, and we will scan for potential threats. It's harder to engage with other people when our body is throwing around SOS signals. Our capacity to engage in conversation will start to slow or shut down completely. Let's break this down. You look into the mirror and you think, I look terrible in this outfit. At this point, you only have had one negative thought, and you can still turn the night around by refocusing on something better. Your body can still stay in the parasympathetic nervous system. Point 2. You get to your friend's house and think, oh, my friends have so much going for them. Feeling as if your friends are better than you can cause you to feel like your ability to connect to potential mates is now threatened. Your body will begin to become increasingly stressed. Some symptoms may occur like headaches or a general bad mood. You may now begin to shift into the sympathetic nervous system as your thoughts trigger SOS signals to be sent throughout your body. 3, you get to the bar and think, no one is going to talk to me. Resting bitch face is officially brewing. As you continuously think fear-based thoughts, your body increasingly becomes ready to fight or flight, tensing your muscles, influencing you to want to socially shut off. Put it this way, you aren't going to look like a happy camper, which makes you less approachable. You have to understand that when you are stressed out, your body, your physiology changes. You look stressed out and you are less approachable, less mateable. You're 15 minutes into being at the bar and you think, I knew no one would come up to me. RBF takes full effect. Negative thoughts are spewing and you may be very uncomfortable. Anxiety may be high, and this can cause you to either start a fight or start drawing up mental escape plans. If you had a friend who was always negative, you wouldn't feel good around them. When we are always negative in our own head, it doesn't feel good to be in our own skin. We give our power away when we let our mind run wild. We must start taking accountability and responsibility for the thoughts that we are allowing our mind to have on replay. Yes, we will have a negative thought here and there, but that isn't the problem. The problem is that after the initial negative thought, we are creating 10 more negative thoughts, which are sending us into a spiral. I invite you to start imagining that your negative thoughts about yourself are no longer private, but instead are a necklace around your neck that someone gifted you. Now that's a real statement piece. Imagine that the negative thought, nobody likes me, has solidified into a physical silver necklace. It's heavy and weighs upon your neck every single day. You look into the mirror daily and see this nobody likes me necklace. And everywhere you go, everyone can see how you are thinking about yourself too. Every day you are reminding yourself of the same negative thought, and every day you are strengthening that thought. Eventually, the fake silver from that necklace starts to turn your skin green. You begin to have a neck ache because it's so heavy and it doesn't look good with any of your outfits. So what would you do? You would take that damn necklace off your neck and you would return it. We do not need to hold on to projections from others or thoughts that are no longer serving us. They are not ours to carry. We do not own them. We can take them off and return them to the gifter. If our thoughts were physical jewelry pieces, we would be much more concerned with them. We wouldn't want to lug around that heavy necklace. We wouldn't want to look at it daily or show other people the truth of what we think about ourselves. We think that just because something isn't physical, it doesn't have a negative impact on us. Sometimes we try to forget about it altogether, but these thoughts are weighing us down. Being in denial that you have negative thoughts will not allow you to transcend to a positive mindset. We don't have to go down because of our thoughts. We have to put our thoughts down. Now, this is what I want you to understand. I can go pretty much anywhere and I will have all kinds of people coming up to me, complimenting me and telling me they love my energy. This wasn't always my reality though. I didn't look any different physically, but I began to shift how I felt about myself and I started to interrupt the negative thoughts I was thinking, and then my reality shifted with me. I noticed that when I hated my outfit or felt bloated, my thoughts were extremely negative, which would cause me to shut off to others. When I started to tell myself that I'm proud of myself, I radiate confidence, and I'm super sexy, other people started to see me in that light too. When I told myself these things, my body was able to relax. I walked into every room with a huge smile, my shoulders back, and felt safe enough to say hello to everyone. My thoughts allowed me to be in my parasympathetic nervous system because I wasn't telling myself that my connection to others was being threatened. We are the voice we hear the most, so we must start cultivating a voice that leads us to better feeling places instead of digging ourselves into a hole. You can get the book to see that diagram, but basically I show you that when you are relaxed, you can rest and digest, you have a decreased heart rate, you're open to social connections, you're smiling, your facial muscles are relaxed, you're magnetic, you're literally more attractive when you think you're more attractive. You are more attractive to other people because sexiness is born in our mind and expressed through our bodies. When we think about ourselves as being sexy, attractive, likable, our body rests. Not only do we feel better about ourselves, we look better. We know we got it going on. And then other people assume, damn, she must really have it all going on. When we're in this state, we signal through our smile, our relaxed shoulders, that others can and should approach us. Your positive thoughts manifest through your body language and convey that you are open to communicating with others. However, when we stress about ourselves, then we come off like we are not approachable, that no one should come up to us, and that we are not open to social connections. If you're not feeling sexy, before you look in the mirror, look inward instead. Your sexiness is accessed through your brain, your mood, your perception, and your day will drastically change when you make the changes up here first. And let me just explain to you, when you change your thoughts and therefore your physiology changes, guess what else changes? Your aura. When you're stressed, depressed, depleted, your aura shrinks. That's less approachable. People are more repelled by that. But when you're confident, you're telling yourself positive things about yourself, you decide to show up as her, there are positive spiritual side effects of this. Your aura expands, and this draws more people towards you. And no, you don't have to be a psychic or a medium to understand someone's aura. You ever hear, oh, that girl just has the it factor or the X factor? That is us perceiving their aura. Every single person you talk to in a bar, anywhere you go, you're subconsciously exchanging energetic files with them. So you're picking up on how they think about themselves, how they believe about the world, how they process information. You're picking up on their lower vibrational energy, their higher vibrational energy, whether you're conscious of it or not. And they're doing the same to you. You and this person are exchanging energetic files. You will know if they have a big aura or a smaller aura. You will know if they're a more positive or negative person without even having information about them. That's how we're like, I don't know why. I don't have any evidence, but I just don't like that person. I'm not really sure why, but I just don't really jive with that person, because you're picking up on their energetic files. When we become hyper concerned about how others perceive us, we unknowingly deplete our energetic field. So if you're constantly seeking external validation, you're worrying about everybody else's opinion, you're placing such a heavy burden, that heavy necklace on yourself, and it's contracting, it's making smaller your energetic field. But when you shift your focus inward and prioritize your own happiness, joy, and your personal growth, something beautiful happens. Your aura expands. You radiate positive energy and confidence. Just by focusing on having fun, regardless of how others are acting, you become magnetic. Why? Because when you're focused on you having fun, you take responsibility over your own life. You're focused here. So what happens? Your aura gets bigger. You're not worried about other social connections. You're not worried about meeting people. You're not worried about how people are perceiving you. You're focused on having fun. You're focused on your own vessel. Oh yeah. And then your aura expands. The more we focus on enjoying life, being true to ourselves, the more our aura expands and the more it pulls people towards us. And this is big aura energy. The thoughts you do not want to think are, no one likes me, no one finds me attractive, everyone is better than me. And you know what's so funny? When you think I'm better than everyone else, that's still focused on other people and therefore still depleting your energy. Because that's not out of confidence. That's not out of love. A confident person is not thinking, I'm better than everyone else. They're not comparing themselves to anyone, period. They're just happy in their own skin. So if you're thinking any of these negative thoughts or trying to convince yourself that you're better than other people, that's not confidence. All of that contracts your aura. It might cause RBF. Your shoulders are going to come forward. You're going to look down, and it's going to tell other people not to approach you. You have so much power in your presence. You have so much control over your reality. But if you don't take control of your own thoughts and therefore your own physiology, it's going to give you results that you might not like. The thoughts we want to think are, I am responsible for my own happiness. I have fun in my own skin. I'm enjoying my time out and about. It's easy to have fun. It's easy to be confident. Fun is my birthright. I radiate confidence. I feel amazing everywhere I go, and I'm naturally attractive. All of those things are positively focused on self. We're not comparing ourselves to others in a negative or in a fake confident way where I have to be better than them. We're just focused here on having fun, enjoying life. And when you do that, aura expands, you pull people in, and you have a better time. So what do? We decide to show up as our desired self. We remember that if we're feeling stressed out really quickly, we're going to put our hands on our hips and we're going to open up our heart center. That will expand our aura. If we're getting stressed out, we're going to go to the bathroom and shake out our body. Another way to get out of your head is just go on the dance floor and start dancing it up. That will move out energy and put you right into your feminine energy. We want to check our negative thoughts out the door, because if we walk into a room and we're thinking all these negative things, what happens? Our aura contracts, our physiology contracts. The way to have a positive physiology is to think positive thoughts. I love you so much. I hope this podcast resonated with you and you learned something new. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a positive review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. It really, really helps this podcast grow. If you've not gotten your copy of Show Up As Her, you will find everything you need about energy and more in this book. And I will see you in the next one. Mwah.